The thing about theanine and magnesium is taken together, they do, for some people, they can make them so sleepy and sleep so deeply that they actually have trouble waking up in the morning. So you have to play with these things and titrate them if you decide to use them. Again, if you decide to go this route, I would not start by taking supplements. I would start by getting your light viewing behavior correct, and then think about your nutrition, and then think about your activity, and then think about whether or not you want a supplement. We already talked about melatonin earlier. There's another supplement that could be quite useful, which is apogenin, apogenin, which is a derivative of chamomile. 50 milligrams of apogenin also can augment or support this kind of creation of a sleepiness to help fall asleep and stay asleep. A note about sleepwalkers and people with very vivid dreams. Theanine can often make your dreams very vivid. Sleepwalkers should be careful about taking theanine. Everyone should be careful about taking anything. And don't take anything without consulting your board-certified MD or healthcare professional first, okay? Your health is your responsibility. I am not going to take responsibility for what you decide to do experimentally in any case, but especially as it relates to supplementation and drugs. As an important point, apogenin is a fairly potent estrogen inhibitor. So women who want to keep their estrogen levels high or at whatever levels they happen to be at should probably avoid apogenin altogether. And men take that into consideration as well. Men need estrogen also. You don't want to completely eliminate your estrogen. That it can create all sorts of bad effects on libido and cognition, et cetera. So apogenin in some people is going to be a pretty strong estrogen inhibitor. So keep that in mind. There are other things you can take to help you sleep better. Those are the legal ones that at least I'm aware of have pretty broad safety margins. But again, you need to explore your safety margins with any compound. I think a great website that I can refer you to is examine.com. Examine, the word, just as it sounds, .com is a website. I have no relation to them, but there you can find links to peer-reviewed studies for any compound or supplement, as well as some important warnings related to the things I discussed, as well as any other thing that you might decide to supplement with or ingest to help improve your sleep. Okay, that was a lot of information about how to get better at sleeping, falling asleep, wakefulness, etc. An important feature of this podcast, as you know, is that we dive deep into topics for several episodes at a time, at least a month at a time. So by stopping here, I recognize that there are probably many more questions that you still have. And the great thing about that is that we have another episode coming up soon. I'm going to hold office hours where I'm going to answer your specific questions about episodes 1 and 2. So if you have questions about this episode, you have questions about episode 1, write them down, put them in the comments. I'll also do a post on Instagram where you can put them in the comments there, but put them in the comments to this episode as well. Please recommend the podcast if you like it. Please subscribe to it here on YouTube. Please subscribe to it on Apple. We're now on Spotify as well. Recommend it to a friend. The community that we're creating here around these topics of sleep and wakefulness and other neuroscience and health-related themes is best supported by your involvement and your questions. And so I'm going to be reading all of your questions, distilling those into the most commonly asked questions and liked questions. So if you see something below that you are particularly interested in, you don't have to put that question in again. You can just give it a like, the little thumbs up tab. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, please go to YouTube, subscribe and put your question there, or check out the Huberman Lab Instagram and you can put your questions there so that next episode I can answer those questions and then we can move forward even more deeply into these critical topics around sleep and wakefulness so that you can be armed with all the information and resources that you need. Last but not least, a number of you have very graciously asked how you can support the podcast. The best way to support the podcast is to subscribe on YouTube or one of the other platforms. We're now on Spotify and Apple. And the other way you can really support the podcast is to check out our sponsors, which were discussed at the beginning. So thank you so much for your time and attention. And above all, thank you for your interest in science.